One thing we do see at Gen Con all the time is the destruction of card games. This is called Netdecking. And like I said in our intro, I mean, I've been playing Magic the Gathering. I don't play it now. I haven't been for years, but I have played it since Ice Age release. And I've seen many of sets come out, right? And at that time, the internet wasn't prevalent. Like the internet didn't really become a big deal until like the late 90s,
right?
Where people had it all the time in their house. I mean, obviously it exists, and then people were using it at school and stuff, but there really wasn't, or at least in our group of people and the people that are shops that we were going to, they didn't look up online and find the best decks ever. Sure, magazines like Inquest and Wizard magazine, stuff like that might have some really good decks that you can play with and things, but a lot of the appeal was to open the packs, right? And then you're like, all these two cards work really cool together. I'm going to surprise people.
Right.
And that's the problem with casual gaming too, is that you play the same guy 30 times and you kind of already know what's going to happen.
Right.
As long as he gets those two cards, he wins. But if he doesn't, I'll stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've got, 110 out of 1,000 cards and some boxes down there. Not just Magic, but probably over 30, 35 different card games. And every card game I've played, it's the same thing. It starts off with, oh, this is really fun. I really enjoy this game. And then people get online and ruin the experience. And, I mean, you probably dealt with this a little bit more with the
Warcraft.
Warhammer. And the Warcraft TCG.
Yeah.
But what was the Warhammer Invasion?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Was there a lot of Netdecking in that?
Yeah, because there was a lot of broken combos because they had no ban list or anything like that, and they usually didn't change text on a lot of cards. So I mean, there was usually like busted combos and stuff like that. And you could see when a guy sat down with you and put his race down. It's like, I know what's coming.
Yeah,
I already know where this is going.
Typical decks.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know we say it destroys CCGs, but let me ask you this: do you think that Netdecking takes the fun out of card games, collectible card games that are expandable and things like that?
What are you looking for in the card game? I mean, whenever I first started playing the WoW TCG, I think that was the first card game I really got into, and whenever I went to my first regional and topped in it, with a deck that was kind of, I made it myself. I built the whole thing from scratch myself, just throwing cards together that I had that I thought would go together good. Pretty satisfying to do so well with it. Now, the argument with the Netdecking is it took a lot of people by surprise because it wasn't a typical, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that hero? I know what that deck is.
Yeah.
Now that's the other argument with, though. If Netdecking's there, it prepares you if you keep up with it. You know what they're doing.
That's true, but it kind of feels like you're playing against 4 decks at that point. Like a lot of the Netdecking I've seen is the top 8 of the latest crazy tournament, like Magic and stuff like that. Like you'll take the top 8 decks that did well, and people are just mimicking those decks like crazy. Maybe you change 1 card, maybe you change 2 cards, but the deck
and made it your own.
Yeah. Look at what I made.
I built this deck.
Yeah, you didn't build anything.
Yeah, I've heard that a million times.
Yeah. You're using the same things. Like if you use them one combo, that's just obvious that it's overpowered. But I mean, that shouldn't have got through testing anyway. But so.
And a lot of that is my favorite thing was always I took the basic mechanic combo of this deck, and I know that you all play these decks, and I just threw in a couple cards that'll help me against your deck, and now it's my own.
Yeah, now they just metagamed your area, right? Yeah, so and that's like the reason I don't like Netdecking is because the fun part about playing the game before Netdecking was a thing is you would go to school or you would go to the comic shop or whatever, and you would play somebody you've never seen before, and the coolest thing was you had your combos going on, they had their combos, and it's like, let's see what happens. And it was very strategic because you didn't know what they had. Right now, like you said, you sit down, and I pretty much know after 2 or 3 cards, key cards, I know exactly what your deck's trying to do and what I need to do to stop it. Whether or not that those cards are in my deck is one thing.
Right.
But I probably know all your strategy, and I'm not going to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Surprise was one of the coolest thing about playing a game, a collectible card game casually that I liked.
Yes.
And it's just not there with Netdecking.
Yeah. Whenever I started Invasion, kind of another satisfying thing I got on that was playing an orc deck. Orcs tend to be just damage to your face as fast as I can get it. Well, whenever I started showing up with this deck, that it started out like that, but it was actually a mid-range deck. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm sitting here dropping these big, huge guys. And the look you would get from them was like, what are you doing? Well, it's not the typical thing. Exactly. I mean,
it's kind of a good counter, like bring back the I'm not Netdecking, and
right.
You don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly. So
the only problem with that is the reason Netdecking is good or powerful is because somebody else has did all the work for you.
Yeah.
This is broken. This is way powerful. It works very efficiently. Even if it's not broken, it works efficiently.
It's efficient.
Right. It's efficient. It does really well.
Yeah. Efficient and what's the word? Consistent.
Consistent.
It's very consistent. So
you bring something casual and it may not perform.
Right. Now janky was always fun and casual. I mean, the like ridiculous combos that you're not going to get off most of the time, but when it does, it's like you're both just like laughing and cheering because it's so ridiculous.
Oh, like silly things.
Yeah. And but I remember from playing too is with the Netdecking. Now I will say it helps beginners. It's pretty overwhelming to sit there and look at all these cards and try and figure out something that will work, because it goes back to it looked good on paper, but I just got my throat kicked in by this dude. What happened, and
that really only is a big deal later on in the card game's life.
Yeah,
because when the card game comes out and you have a core set, it's probably not that big of a deal, especially if it has like starter decks.
Right.
I think starter decks are probably a little bit better place to start than net decks, though, because Netdecking usually has these more advanced combos or more cards that you need to prepare to get out. So you might have to use other cards to like thin your deck or do things to where that excels your deck into that combo. And starter decks are really just kind of like, they're usually weak, right?
Right.
And they're easier to play, but they can't go very far as far as being efficient and powerful.
Right.
Anything else?
It was always fun that after someone Netdecked and you beat them, you told them how to actually play their deck. That was always fun, but
yeah, it's like you saw this deck and you made the deck, but you didn't read the description.
But you don't know how to pilot it.
Yeah,
that happened all the time.
Do.
Yeah, you don't know what the combo. You didn't see the actual way to play that, so it was always fun. Like, not to be a hipster attitude with them, to actually help them, but it's like if you're going to sit there and take a net deck, at least kind of know what the main mechanics are. And
you're using that card to kill off this guy. That's not what it.
Yeah,
the whole thing propels off this other way. Yeah.
Or you get some guy like, I just want to get in a tournament and my buddy built this for me. Oh, well, he didn't explain to you that he should have sat you down and he should have gave you a rush deck to begin with if you're not that into the game, but he gave you a little bit more involved deck, and this is what you're actually doing for your setup and how to finish your opponent off. So
yeah.